if you have a couple thousand pounds worth of tree fall on you and your tractor, it's going to be a bad day.
Funky looking roots.
So let me catch everybody up. This is the pole barn we're building, and we stopped building the pole barn because we are using lumber that we are cutting with our own sawmill. So we thought it would be a better deal to go ahead and get a cover on the sawmill so that we'd be able to use the sawmill throughout the winter when it's nasty and wet, and we'll still be able to use the sawmill. So let me show you where the holdup's at. All right, let's walk back here and check this beam out. It's been up for, I guess, a couple weeks now. We've had to go out of town, so it's turned cold on us too. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm whining because I'm too ornery to give up, but I am going to share the struggle with you. So let me give you a little rundown of what's going on. We put this beam up. Let's see if I can get this camera to show you. We put this beam up 2 weeks ago, and we've been out of town, and since then it was when we left it was really nice and warm, and now it's about 38 degrees and getting down to freezing at night. And over the last 2 weeks, this beam has sagged some. Now, we don't have the side supports in it yet, but that is disappointing. That's not the only problem. So we're out here trying to find our property line in the middle of the woods. Hey, do y'all see the property line? I don't see the property line. When we bought the property a few years ago, we walked all this down here, and I don't see the post anymore. Yeah, a lot of trees have fell down since then, so who knows. Oh, my head's all messed up. So we have found a post here. It's hard to see. There's a metal post right here. It's a big piece of iron post. All right, so we are a good piece away from the property line. So what we're gonna do now is take the tractor. Our whole purpose of scouting our property line again was to make sure that when we clean this patch up today, that we're not going to encroach on our neighbor's property. So let me show you what we're up against. Let's see if I can make this thing flip around. Look at there, flip around. So Gizmo dog here is supervising, as always. And you can see back over, way over there, you can see the sawmill. And we got, this is what we're gonna clean up today. And the property line for our neighbor is way over here. So it's literally, I don't know, 100, 200 feet away, so we're not in any danger getting close. So here we go. This is what we're up against today. This is where somebody cut the forest before, left a few trees, and I tell you, there's one tree that I'm very, very interested in. That is one big giant cedar tree I'm looking at. Back behind here, that is a big, huge, giant, tall cedar, or juniper, or red cedar, whatever you want to call it. It is straight as an arrow. That needs to go in the sawmill. So we've got the grapple on the tractor here. I'm sitting on the grapple and I'm getting ready to go out into these woods. Now, I've already did a scout of this woods where we're going to clean up. And the reason it's really important that you scout this, you're going to look for dead trees. You don't want to come in and bump a tree with a grapple and have that fall back on you. So we already got the stump grinder on, and we're going to go clear this off. But there's a stump right over here that I keep tripping over. I have walked by this and it's really open and I see it pretty easily, but I get distracted and I've tripped over this thing like 5 times. And Tanya has tripped over it, so this stump is gone today. So what we gotta do now is get the old T474 warmed up. It's been sitting here cold for the last few days. So we're gonna crank it up and let it warm up. So this is a cold start Tennessee style. Y'all probably think that's hilarious. It was 26 last night. There's still a little frost in the shade, so it's still pretty comfortable. This is not up north weather by any means. All right, glow plugs are off. That was kind of anticlimactic. So we'll let that warm up, and then we'll get to grinding some stump, cleaning some land. Hey, we can't make the parts for the sawmill get here any sooner, but we can make our time productive. So while we're waiting on the tractor to warm up, let's have a discussion. What do you think about taking the It's only 2 bolts to pick this head up. It's got these things here, the cranes right there. Pick this up and then bring the trailer back in here, set it on the trailer, strap it down, carry it back to the house and put it in the garage to change the engine out. So I have all the tools and stuff there. Instead of trying to change this out here. Well, no, not today. We don't have the trailer here, so that'd be kind of hard. The motor's not supposed to be here. The engine's not supposed to be here. Hey, who else says motor when they talk about it's slang here in the South? We call everything a motor, but even though you know, I understand that a motor is electric. Who else says motor for everything? That car's got a motor in it. So I haven't used this in, I don't know, in a month and a half. So I greased it before I come over here, so it's been greased. Everything looks good, but I am going to check it out here just before we just start ripping through stuff. Don't see anything that just stands out. Huh? Tanya said the smell is very strong from, it's a poplar. I smell the fresh dirt. Well, that's good dirt right there. So I think this is gonna be, in the long run, it's gonna be a really, really valuable tool for us. Let's go get the grapple put on. So let's do a little quick class. I had a lot of questions about this. So when you leave your implement, like your grapple sitting around, say for months, and you don't use it, well, there's a temperature change inside the time you set it there to the time that you moved it. So if you've seen, I had my grapple connectors connected together so the pressure would stay the same on both sides of the cylinder. So that way it was easy to disconnect. But sometimes you'll have pressure on your tractor lines. And what you want to do is leave the tractor in the off position. When I say don't run it, just turn it to the on position, and you got your levers here, or your buttons. You're just going to push the buttons on both sides. It has an electric valve, and it'll open the valve on both sides and relieve the pressure. Pressure. So then you can turn it off, and then it's easier to connect these lines right here. Because if there's 3,000 pounds of pressure there, you're not pushing that on. I don't care what you do. And the easy fix is just turn the ignition switch to the on position, push the 2 buttons on your controller. That releases any back pressure through these lines, then you can hook it up. Now, so these lines can be reversed on you know, however you hook it up. I have 2 tractors and I like my buttons to be the same. I like my left button to open and my right button to close my grapple. Well, if I wasn't so lazy, I would just reverse these right here, but I hadn't had this back to the shop to do it. So now we got the grapple on the front of the tractor. I still have the stump grinder on the back of the tractor in case we need it. Okay, we're getting ready to start out here. We've already scouted this area. Just in case you don't know this, when you're out with any piece of equipment, make sure you scout it. Look for widowmakers, and that's if you don't know what a widowmaker is, it's a dead tree that's sticking straight up in the air. And what that'll do is if you bump it, that tree can break in the middle of the tree and fall back on you. And guys, if you have if you have a couple thousand pounds worth of tree fall on you and your tractor, it's gonna be a bad day. So just make sure you scout out the area. We don't have any trees here in this area that are dead. I don't feel like I have anything to worry about if I bump a tree that's gonna fall on me, but it's something to think about. All right, last thing before we go in the woods is my loader is on and my grapple's on. My grapple is wider than my loader. So my grapple's 66 inches wide. When you're gonna push on a stump or a small tree, do your best to have what you're pushing on in between the loader arms. You don't want to catch it on the edge of this edge or that edge. because you can put a lot of strain on your loader and you can literally warp your loader. So you can damage your loader by doing that. So always try to keep whatever you're pushing in between the loader arms center as best you can. And when there's those cases that you can't, you just got to be very, very gentle and take your time. All right, so we're gonna work on this side of the road. This side over here, hopefully this is gonna be a little bit drier over here. This side is really muddy. I don't know why it's so muddy right here. We're on top of a hill, but this area is super muddy. So let's see what we can do over here on the other side.
Funky looking roots. Go find something. Gizmo, stay over here. Come here.
So we have been working out here. Let me show you what's going on. This is where the sawmill's at, and then there's the stack of logs that I did, I don't know, last year. And there's just a good log, and there's cherry log in there I need to get to. But while we're waiting on the sawmill parts, this is what we've got going on. Now this mess right here is basically like what this was this morning. So
There are briars everywhere.
yeah, they're the briars, and it was just, you couldn't walk through. You literally could not walk through this. So the 474 has been doing a really great job. Gizmo Dog has done outstanding in protecting us and supervising. And let me walk you around and show you kind of what we did. And it doesn't look like, this is about, I guess about 2 hours, 2.5 hours work.
Feels like 4 hours.
But basically what I had to do is go down here to the bottom of the hill and push a place for me to put all the stuff. And that I'll eventually just keep pushing that down till there's a big giant ditch at the bottom, and we'll push all that in there, and that'll help keep it from eroding. And then here is eventually going to be a trail. I drove up in there and drug a little bit just to kind of see. That's going to go to the other side of the property and come out over there. So it'll be a little walking trail. Hopefully at some point we'll have a walking trail everywhere out here. I know this, guys, I understand you guys can't, really, this doesn't make sense to you. It's hard to get perspective on a camera. But like I said, right over here is the sawmill, and this at some point where I'm standing is most likely going to be a corner of our house. Hey, I really appreciate you watching our channel, and I would also appreciate it if you would hit that thumbs up and subscribe for us. We are done for today. God bless. Have a great day.
Yeah.